I really don't think this is that much of a big deal. Firms with 20 workers or fewer are 89% of the businesses in the United States. Firms with fewer than 20 workers, I don't believe, are the giant illiberal tyrannies over people's lives that you're thinking of, right? It seems to me that you're talking about the multinational corporations that can afford lobbyists that lobby politicians night and day to get favorable conditions to them, which otherwise other companies don't get. I agree. I think that's bad too. I find that to be a form of institutionalized bribery.
So that had nothing to do with my question. I'm going to try again now.
Vaush? Go ahead. Yes.
I forget too, but I'm going to bring us back to the actual discussion we were having.
If you forgot, how do you know he didn't answer your question?
Adam. well, Carl.
Which one of these links?
You're not going to talk to me about
naughty boy, Carl. I don't need to fallaciously appeal to the authority to tell you to shut the while I talk. So yes, I have provided information that indicates that worker co-ops are not only more successful, but also an explanation for why they haven't taken off.
Well, hold on. Which one of the links is the one that provides what you're talking about, so I can look over it during?
It's just a data document. You can click through those links.
Well, because the first two, like one of them is like the International Socialist Review, and the second one's a co-op website. Like these are not objective on this topic.
You're free to look through all of them. Is it possible to ascribe positions to you?
Hold.
I know it's very difficult for me to ascribe positions to you that you don't hold, because you don't seem to hold any positions you have flatly stated you hold 5 minutes ago.
But you're never asking me about.
But never the ones you seem to claim you hold, do you?
Ask him his position, Vaush.
What is your position? So all good systems just naturally happen without people pushing for them.
Vaush, why are you interrupting me?
Yeah,
because you can only say so many stupid things before it's important.
But I've literally not even finished saying my sentence. Why can't I finish?
You finished saying one stupid thing. If you had another lined up, you're free to finish.
Hey,
you can say it's stupid, but you also haven't proven your point. So all I'm saying, Vaush, is that I'm not persuaded. I haven't had time to go through your data, which you acknowledge. So all I'm saying is so far I'm not persuaded by your method of argumentation. There's no particular reason to think that worker co-ops are actually any more effective. Otherwise, why wouldn't they all be? This is like very much like the feminists saying, oh, well, women are being paid less than men. If that's the case, how can men ever get a job?
What the Okay, so you believe that all good ideas just automatically supersede bad ideas?
Not automatically, no. But
okay, so you believe sometimes that good ideas have to be pushed
for.
You
keep interrupting him. You ask him a question, you don't let him finish.
It was a yes/no question, and he gave the yes.
No, he wants to clarify his position.
Other people are in this discussion, Vaush.
It's you.
I want to talk. Yeah, I know, and I really would like to explain my position, but you keep jumping in.
I won't let him interrupt you, Vaush, either. Come on, we want to hear what you have to say as well. Just let him. We want a little bit of a dialogue here, Vaush.
Carl.
And I'm curious. I want to know your solutions. Vaush. Obviously, you're debating the problem, but not the solutions. Go ahead, Sargon.
Right. With the repeated action in the market, you will see trends. Are we agreed? No interruptions?
Yes.
Wow. There is no particular reason that you have given me so far for me to think that if a worker co-op was more profitable, more effective, and a better way of actually producing wealth than privately owned business, that wouldn't supplant privately owned business. These things do happen if you look just through the history of anything, really. Better ideas do tend, as long as they're given enough free action to operate, to supplant the bad ideas that came before. Those that don't end up with revolution. The example of worker co-ops.
I asked you a yes/no question.
No, hold on, Vaush. Let him finish. You can ask your question again if he doesn't answer. Go ahead, Sargon.
I don't see how these are being held down. Now, I'm not saying that I'm massively well informed in this regard. I don't spend much time concerning myself with worker co-ops because I'm an entrepreneur. I don't work for anyone. So I'm more than happy to admit I might be ill-informed in this, but I don't see what's preventing them from succeeding other than their own structure. But also, I really don't think this is that much of a big deal. I mean, 20 workers, firms with 20 workers or fewer are 89% of the businesses in the United States. I really don't think that the evil capitalist is the guy owning a firm who's got 20 or fewer workers. So for most
this has nothing to do, not only with my question, but with
stop.
Wait, really quickly, and this is pointed. No, I recognize the importance of not interrupting, but for somebody who's concerned with the direction of the debate, I was beginning a point and asked him a yes/no question, and he has talked for 2 minutes in response to it.
But let him make his point, Vaush, though, and if he doesn't answer your question, you ask your question again. You push him on
another 3 minutes of another set of unrelated responses that have nothing to do with my question.
Write your question down if you think you're going to forget it, okay?
So we can continue to respond with unrelated points.
This is not unrelated,
Vaush, you've done many unrelated points too. You're bouncing back and forth.
No, I've actually been pretty pointed in everything that I've talked about here. And we can go over the VOD later and go over it, but I guarantee you that for every pivot that has taken place, it has been Sargon avoiding a direct question. So I'm going to ask a question here.
No,
so I asked you a yes,
I'm not taking
no
any more
question
questions from you right now, Vaush.
Let him finish.
You're not taking questions in a discussion?
For 89, yeah, because it's not your turn to talk. Why can't you understand that?
You realize you're making an appeal to authority, a fallacious one, when you suggest the moderator determines whether or not it's your turn to talk, right?
I could be wrong. I'm willing to admit that.
Adam's authority.
Appeal to authority. The moderator does not have an authority on this subject.
I'm glad we've reached a lighter point. Let's all just take a breath here. Like Vaush, there's plenty of time for you to make your point, and we want you to make your point, for heaven's sakes. That's why we invited you here.
Right. So
go ahead.
Are you done, Carl?
Not so, Vaush. Not so. I'm going to finish my point so I can explain to you why it's related.
You've already gone over what you're talking about, but feel free.
Vaush.
Come on, Vaush.
Come on. Shh. Firms with fewer than 20 workers, I don't believe, are the giant illiberal tyrannies over people's lives that you're thinking of, right? It seems to me that you're talking about the multinational corporations that can afford lobbyists that lobby politicians night and day to get favorable conditions to them, which otherwise other companies don't get. I agree. I think that's bad too. I find that to be a form of institutionalized bribery, but I don't see what is either preventing you from starting a worker co-op or what compels you to be able to enforce that on other people.
Okay, so that had nothing to do with my question. So I'm going to try again now.
Vaush? Go ahead, yes.
I forget too, but I'm going to bring us back to the actual discussion we were having. So, essentially, Sargon's point here is, whoa.
If you forgot, how do you know he didn't answer your question?
Hey, Adam.
I'm sorry, but...
In the absence
he has a point there, right?
So while we're going to avoid reading the evidence that I have provided you, that worker co-ops are, on average, more successful and more resilient than traditionally owned businesses.
Then all you need to do is...
Well, Carl,
which one of these links?
You're not going to talk to me about
naughty boy, Carl. I don't need to fallaciously appeal to the authority to tell you to shut the fuck up while I talk.
No, let's not go there. Now, let's calm down.
Yeah, well, hold on. Which one of the links is the one that provides what you're talking about, so I can look over it during?
It's just a data document. You can click through those links.
Well, because the first two, like one of them is like the International Socialist Review, and the second one's a co-op website. Like these are not objective on this topic.
You're free to look through all of them. Some of them are broader metadata analyses on the success of worker co-ops.
I see one that's like a Science Hub article, but it's about Uruguay. Like, is there something? That's what I'm asking. Is there something specific you want to look at?
The Uruguay one is relevant. I can't help you if you're not going to read through it.
You've activated our data.
If that's relevant to
we're in big trouble.
America. I don't
Wait, are we doing a literature review, or are we talking about this point specifically?
No, I'm asking. You said that you have evidence that co-ops are more effective.
I can't help you spark notes the links I've given you.
Which one of the links that you provided do you want me to look at? There's like 10.
Compiled this a while ago. Just click through them.
Oh, okay. I don't believe the International Socialist Review, but that's fine. You guys continue.
You can look at the data and come to the conclusions that you like.
So why don't you just wait?
This is actually incredible.
Why can't I ask a question of you? You've asked a lot of questions.
Whoa.
Technically,
Carl.
Technically, Vaush has the floor. You finished what you were saying, Sargon. Okay. So go ahead, Vaush, ask your question.
So, your assertion here is that if worker co-ops were more functional than non-worker co-ops, they would have just taken over. The idea here implicitly is that if an idea is better, it will simply succeed. It doesn't need advocacy. What you are leaving out is the fact that...
Disagree.
Okay. What quickly did I mischaracterize from your position?
You're suggesting that an idea doesn't need advocacy. That's ridiculous.
Okay. Well, then, no, you suggested that worker co-ops, if they were better, would simply supersede privately owned corporations.
Well, if they're more successful, that is advocacy for them. The action of doing it is advocacy for it.
That's not what advocacy means. Advocacy means people making active attempts to push for policies that support worker co-ops, to advocate for them.
But you don't think that actually doing the thing is a form of advocacy for it?
No, that is not what advocacy means.
I disagree.
Very often, doing the thing happens after you engage in advocacy for the thing. So, for example, people like me, or people perhaps more economically, like economics professors or business owners, when they go out there and they talk about the viability of worker co-ops, they're engaging in advocacy. And that advocacy is one of the characteristics that can lead to the supremacy of a better idea. Your idea that it is only the better idea which supersedes in the end is flatly wrong.
That's not
history.
My idea. That's not my idea.
Is it possible to ascribe positions to you?
Hold.
I know it's very difficult for me to ascribe positions to you that you don't hold, because you don't seem to hold any positions you have flatly stated you hold 5 minutes ago.
But you're never asking me about.
But never the ones you seem to claim you hold, do you?
Ask him his position, Vaush.
What is your position? So so you just spent like literally 3 minutes talking about how you don't see why worker co-ops wouldn't have already succeeded over privately owned corporations if they were better. Is that not correct?
Yeah, well, you're talking about economic competitiveness, are you not?
That's what you were talking about. You were the one who went off on the point that if these were better, they would have just succeeded.
To that point too, but are you also not talking about economic competitiveness?
In regards to what specifically?
Worker-owned co-ops compared to private.
What do you mean talking about? I brought it up earlier.
That's what I meant by talking about, yeah.
So just mentioned, like it's not relevant to the particular argument. I just said it at some point.
The whole subject you were talking about, Vaush.
I'm talking about why I believe democracy in the workplace would make America better.
Right, okay. So, but not more economically productive.
No, it would maintain a comparable, perhaps slightly higher level of economic productivity. I haven't seen any evidence to suggest that worker co-ops make less money, for example.
Right, but if they made more money and they were more appealing environments, why would they not succeed on their own merits?
I actually already explained that to you.
It's just the conspiracy.
It's not a conspiracy. It is the entire economic superstructure.
Just can you restate your argument? We'll see if Sargon can steel man your argument. Basically,
well,
sure.
Honestly, I'm actually not that. I'm not an expert on worker co-ops, and he's speaking to a hypothetical model, a hypothetical prediction that doesn't exist.
No, I'm speaking to existing worker co-ops that have already functioned and have already been statistically demonstrable to function properly. We're not talking about any floozy hypotheticals. We're not talking about any wily theory. We're talking about very basic high school level interpretations of data that indicate that there are benefits to worker co-ops.
I'm not saying there aren't.
I've gone over this before.
But you just said that you think they would be as efficient, if not more efficient. So that's not a concrete. That's a
the data seems to. Yes, because data doesn't give you a literal point dot matrix on how successful a predicted business model is going to be. There are always variables. So yes,
but I'm not really
in the
interested
ballpark,
in discussing the hypothetical success of worker co-ops.
Then you're not interested in discussing data.
You don't have the data on the success of the worker co-ops.
I linked you data on the success of worker co-ops.
No, you're missing my point. You're talking about something that could be true, but
no, I'm talking about something that is true. Right? The data indicates that.
Okay. Well, then I guess we're in the world where worker co-ops took over then.
No, we're in the world where worker co-ops are a good idea, but just because something is a good idea does not mean that it will automatically succeed.
Okay, how about this? We'll go to the next subject.
No. You actually can't understand this. You're missing your own point. The argument you have to prove. The argument you have to prove is that there is a reason why worker co-ops aren't right now the dominant form of economic production. That isn't because they don't gel well with how the economic superstructure currently functions, which prioritizes private ownership and exchange of resources between
capital. I'd have to go and do some research. Like I don't know.
Wait. Then why not just say this data looks interesting and compelling? I don't have any counter arguments. We can come back to it later.
To look at it. I haven't had time to look at it. We've already said this.
That's what I just said. So wait, if you don't have any data to disprove the claim, then why would you continue to make bad faith counter arguments when you don't have anything to back up your assertion that there's a reason why worker co-ops aren't succeeding? Just say, I don't know. I answered. I answered directly.
Okay.
Economic superstructure, political elites in power, bank discrimination, loan discrimination. I went over points that can be empirically determined for why worker co-ops haven't taken off.
I'll assume that's all correct, okay? I'll just assume that's all correct, and that it's the evil capitalists keeping those holy...
Never said it was the evil capitalists. Like I said before, democratic cells in monarchist countries were also kept down under the monarchy. Economic systems, when they don't work well with the predominant super system, are often suppressed.
Right.
Now, because that was a monarchy...
the evil capitalists keeping them down, then?
You're acting as though it's a conspiracy when this is literally a fact of how different economic structures interact.
I'm not saying it's conspiracy.
Also, it's funny that you would impugn it as a conspiracy when your channel is rife with conspiracism.
What conspiracism do I...
Cultural Marxism, the idea, the Gamergate idea that feminists were... you asked me that feminists were infiltrating... That feminists were infiltrating like game reviewers to take down like the gamer. You've engaged in 9/11 conspiracism. You joked around with alt-writers about whether Heather Heyer died of a heart attack at Charlottesville.
One at a time.
Wait, I wasn't interested in going over your conspiracism. I was interested in going over the worker
you seem very excited about it. I'd love to talk about it.
There is no point of your career that isn't rife with gaffes to be made fun of. But in this instance, I care more about worker co-ops than I do your low IQ.
I don't care about worker co-ops. So let's talk about something...
Then why did you pretend to care about this? All right, then I take it. I'm taking the belt on this. So yes, I have provided information that indicates that worker co-ops are not only more successful, but also an explanation for why they haven't taken off. And I have data indicating they make people happier. So I can say pretty concretely that, yeah, this is something we should look into in the future as an economic model that might lead to the betterment of this country.
And the thing is, I don't even disagree with you. I'm not even saying they're not good.
Backpedaling Carl, walking away from the point.
Right, okay. Okay, Vaush.
So, do you guys want to take a position on universal basic income? If you guys want to move on,
you are right. I'm definitely backpedaling, Vaush. Sorry.
I mean, I can't see your feet right now. I don't know if you got a little cycle down there.
Oh, 3.
Hi, you just listened to a clip from the Sitch and Adams show. If you like what you heard, you can listen to our live show right here on this channel on Sunday, starting at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you want, you can super chat us. We read $20 and up super chats on the show and then do a follow-up stream on the following Tuesday where we read the rest of the unread super chats and interact with fans of the show. Subscribe to this channel right here to listen to the live show or to listen to more of our awesome clips.